Good morning. It is Tuesday. And this week, I'm really excited because it's what I view as a calm week. I don't have any buying appointments on the schedule.
Bruh.
I don't have any events on the schedule, at least that I know of. And it's just gonna be one of those weeks I'm gonna be able to just focus on the shop, focus on what's happening in here, keep getting projects done. I spent yesterday laundering a bunch of vintage garments so that I can bring them in tomorrow, get them steamed, priced, and put out. From two separate people, I got these gorgeous 1950s wool, like plaid wool jackets with these gorgeous big buttons. They're wonderful. They're in great condition, and I cannot wait to get them out. Halloween is coming up in a couple of days, and I'm already thinking about what I'm going to be doing for the fall window display. That is going to be kind of the lead in to our holiday window display. I've got an idea for what I want to do for the holiday display. I just don't know how to fully realize it yet. I have done holiday displays in the past that have been pretty lofty. I decided to make anybody who loves vintage Christmas holiday decorations, you may have heard of putz houses, and I'll insert a couple of pictures here in case you don't know what those are. But they're these little cardboard hand painted boxes. You could buy them in packages from Japan. They sold kits that you can make them yourself. I actually bought a full kit from the 1950s that was made in Japan, and I wanted to do a National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation themed window. So I set up all my putz houses. I had this life-size Clark Griswold holding Christmas presents, and my goal was to do a nod to Cousin Eddie, and when he was emptying his septic tank, I didn't get that far, but I made the Griswold's house. I made a little RV trailer. I'll see if I can find pictures of it, and it was really cute. Some people got it, some people didn't. If you're one of those people that hasn't added National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation to your holiday viewing queue, I highly recommend you do it. Classic. But this year, I'm not going to go as super specific. I'm just going to do holiday theme because I want to keep this window up through January. And then February, we have our Valentine's window, which I always like doing up as well. So I think I'm going to try this week to figure out how I'm going to do this holiday window and see if I can take out of my head what I'm thinking and put it into real life. But today I came in an hour before I open, as I usually do, and I'm going to tackle that top rack back in the archive and get that finished and completed. So yeah, it's going to be a very average day today, knocking out projects, getting new projects planned, and it's going to be a reset. Okay, so let's see what we can get done. All right, so I've shown up here numerous times, and it's been a little while since I've actually gone through some of these pieces to make sure that they're ones that I actually want to keep. And I haven't quite decided how I'm going to organize everything yet, but just want a little bit more method to the madness up here. Now I have my step stool and my handy clothing hook, and I just want to see if I can just tune it up a little bit. I think I might put all of the, well, I've been considering putting all the black pieces over here and kind of switching it up, but I think I might just leave it as is and just fine tune it. It's a little close here, but as you can see, I have pieces kind of organized by color. Over here, I have some newer pieces that I don't want to mix too far into the vintage, but I do have pieces mixed in here, like this one that has pop seams, needs to be redone, and eventually I need to go through each one of these, get a little like marker I mean physical marker, not like a drawing marker, like a Post-it, and signify all the ones that need mending and a little bit of restoration. But there are a lot of really, really lovely, great pieces up here. It's just getting a little bit more organization. Now this is a piece that I really love. It's from the brand Juniors by Pearl, and it has this buttoned in modesty panel at the top, but I just love those little details. It's really dingy. It has to be cleaned, but it's details like that that you don't see and it get lost in so many clothes today, and it's always been a little favorite of mine. The camera can't fully capture how gorgeous this dress is, but it's an Asian style dress and it's wool. It has this, it's not chartreuse, it's a mix between chartreuse and like a neon green with orange print. But I absolutely love this one. I haven't had a chance to use it in a shoot yet, but I have ideas. If I ever go back to Grandpa's pool house, which I know I will, this is probably one that I'll be taking in the future. Have a mix of some really beautiful beaded pieces with that illusion mesh. And just look at this. Let's see, I lost sight of it. Killer 1960s animal print pink lurex dress. I mean, can you even? Obviously, I love anything sparkly. This one is a true favorite of mine because, as you can see, it has little embroidered strawberries on it. And it has the label Vogue Couturier Designs. Now, in the 40s and 50s, and I'm not sure how much that extended, but Vogue came out with clothing patterns that you could make. And some of them were more expert level, and from what I could tell, this was one of them. Now it has a little matching jacket, little peplum base lined in red. Almost feels like a silk taffeta. Absolutely gorgeous. Perfect condition. One of those that I've been meaning to get photographed for the archive so you can see it on the mannequin in all of its glory, but it's absolutely stunning. And this gorgeous embroidered silk beauty came with that embroidered strawberry dress and has 3 pieces. It's a top, a skirt, and a jacket with a belt. You can see these beautiful scalloped edges here. It's wonderfully lined. Now, I'm not sure if she made this herself or it was custom made, but I'm pretty sure this fabric came from Asia. I'm not sure exactly, but what I love about it is the interior has all of these beautiful stripes. I mean, the interior of the dress is just as beautiful as every other part of it. I'm kind of at a loss for words because I haven't taken this piece out in a little while, and I'm so distracted by how gorgeous it is, but I love the scallop neckline. Oh wait, and actually, so I forgot that it's not a skirt underneath, it's a top and an actual full dress underneath. So you get multiple outfits in one. I absolutely love this. I'm gonna hop down off of my little stool so I can get a better look at this piece. Now, with this particular piece, it came from the same woman who obviously had a lot of skills in sewing and garment construction, which is why I'm not positive if this piece was made by her or if this was one she had custom made for her overseas. Now, I know if you go overseas, and I believe in Thailand, in China, I mean, all over, there are little shops that you walk in, you pick out your fabric, you pick out a design, and they can custom make it in a very quick amount of time, and you get, it's a tailored piece to you. And I feel like this might be one of those. I mean, it's quite intricate when you really look at it. It has a side zipper, little snap buttons. I mean, fully lined. I mean, she could have made this herself. I'm not positive. I didn't get any history on the original owner other than the fact that she knew how to make garments. Absolutely beautiful, and again, one of those that I need to get on the archive website. Doesn't this insane 1960s brown wool getup remind you of something that you would have seen Barbara Streisand wear? Now, the reason why I really do love, oh god, the lining, I'm distracted. Now, the reason why I like going through this archive is to document the labels that I have back here. And this is one that I I knew I had this, but I forgot who the designer was. You see, S. Howard Hirsch of California. Now, I will show on the screen here, but I do have another one of his pieces currently for sale in the store and online that is absolutely stunning. It is such a gorgeous piece, and it works in this brown tone, and the lining is amazing. I'll put a picture up here, but I'm actually going to go on the floor and show you a little bit more that the picture can't show you. Now, this is from S. Howard Hirsch, and this one is from the 1970s, and it has this little cowl neck that you can tie yourself and back. And why I loved this one is just this little peak of, it's almost a mauve-y, dusty pink lining. Now, if you look at the label, this one, as you can tell, is later than that original, but gorgeous use of earthy tones, very substantial, heavy fabric, but then the really beautiful peak of the lining. I tell you, it's those little details. Now, this past week, I've actually had some really good conversations with customers coming in, buying pieces for their Halloween costumes. And what I love is a lot of the people have been coming in. I had a woman buy this really, I did show it on one of the past buying appointments, or maybe it was archive posts. It was a black acid wash denim dress that I got with this lot, and I had a really gorgeous cobalt blue, fully sequined. I'm pretty sure it was a Fredericks of Hollywood. It didn't have its tag. I have a photo of it from a shoot we did last holiday season. And I had a lot of people coming in who wanted to make sure that what they were buying, they could get use out of, and that they could wear again, and it wasn't just going to be a one and done piece, including the accessories and everything they put with it. So that made me feel really happy, because as I've said in previous videos, I want these pieces to be loved. I want them to mean something. If you're going to buy it once and regret it, that doesn't make me happy. I want you to love it and be able to use it forever. And to have, people come in and express the same thought and mentality, that gives me a lot of pride and happiness. All right, enough with my corny ramblings. I have to do it in every episode. All right, so I just tweaked a little bit up there. Again, I think this is one of those racks that it was functional for what I was using it for, but now that I have these, a rack like this isn't as functional and doesn't make as much sense. So eventually, as I can afford it and get more of these racks, I think I will be dismantling this pipe rack. We did it ourselves. A lot of shops make these pipe racks because they're sometimes cheaper than getting traditional garment racks, and they're better quality, but these racks just aren't cutting it anymore. I need something heavier duty that's mobile. So that will be a project for the new year, but until then, I can at least get some of these pieces organized and in somewhat of a little bit of order. With the time I've left before I open, I think I might go ahead and finish photographing some of these pieces from the past couple of buying appointments. This week has been one of those weeks where I thought I would have more time to do that. Didn't end up getting that time, which is great. That's fine. That means shop is doing what it needs to do. But I want to start getting these photographed and knock them off get them up online for everyone to enjoy, and just keep trucking. I have a lot more vintage coats I need to get out. And this one, no, it wasn't this one. I'm thinking out loud right now. I actually think today I might get to mending some of these coats finally and get them out. Honestly, maybe I might do that before I start photographing things for the website. Process. All right, I'll get to it. Now, if you remember from one of the past appointment videos, this coat is in immaculate condition except for little cosmetic issues like cigarette burns, just a couple inside that lining, and it's missing one of the buttons, but luckily I save buttons from pieces that have been pretty much decimated, and I have a couple of backlight buttons that might just do the trick. I'll see, but I think I've had this in back longer than it needs to be, and it should go off to its new forever home. Now, with the new clothing, vintage clothing I've been getting in, I've been heavily invested in fabric and textile books, just so I know what I'm dealing with, how I can identify certain textiles. And I've currently been using the Mood Guide to Fabric and Fashion. But here is a question to all of you out there watching. If you are a textile aficionado, textile historian, fan, whatever it is, what books do you use to help identify fabrics other than, you know, your like the sense of touch and testing and things like that? But what are your resources for fabric? Because I really want to get more of a library of these at the shop. This one has been good, but it's not as in-depth as I would like it to be. It doesn't have as many photos and examples as I would like. So that's a question. Do you have any recommendations that I should try and that are kind of the holy grail of textile books? Now, eventually, I would love to do almost a swatch book of different kinds of fabric, especially ones that were used in each decade. But until that point, I need something else to help because, again, I didn't go to school for textiles or fashion. Here in Fargo, a lot of the programs are being cut. I would love to go back to school to study textiles. Just there aren't any places in my area that have a really good, robust textile program here near me. And I don't want to take one online because I feel like that kind of defeats the purpose of learning by feel and sight and smell. Anywho, any recommendations are greatly, greatly appreciated. And again, this book is good. It has some pictures, but I really want to see up close, like super, super up close photos, magnified. I don't know, maybe that book like that doesn't exist. Maybe I should go on eBay and see if I can find old textile textbooks from different fashion programs. I might try to do that. Also, something fun. Over the weekend, one of my neighbors who has a really beautiful vintage shop called El Michelle, she sells stunning antique and vintage jewelry and hats and accessories. Absolutely stunning. She dropped in and gave me a trio of this little, it's called Gledoline, and you rub it on the inside of your collars to help prevent chafing and irritation. Now, as you can see here in the little box, you have the little stick that you rub on the collars and the instructions that go with it, and all of these are in impeccable condition. Now, I've been going over some of the vintage jewelry I've been getting in over the past few weeks, and I normally have in this little pile at the counter pieces that I've been holding on to and haven't been wanting to sell. And you may notice, if you've watched all of these videos, that I'm missing one over here, and that was the 1960s jeweled and faux pearl Trifari seahorse. Now, I've been waiting to post it online, and I'll tell you why, but it sold within minutes of me posting it online, and it was really interesting, and part of the reason why I hesitated to post it was exactly because of what ended up happening after it sold. So I always try to do as much research on pieces as I possibly can before I list them. And part of my decision making, and if you sell vintage, or you're curious about selling vintage, or you are a buyer of vintage and you've always wondered, I get a lot of questions about how I price items, whether it be in store or online. And it's a multitude of factors: how much I paid for it, condition, rarity. Being that I'm in Fargo, I can't charge what maybe the market rate is for certain vintage pieces in store because no one's going to purchase them for that. So it's a variety of reasons. But for this piece, when I was researching it online, I found two that matched exactly what I had. One was part of a set, so this brooch and a pair of earrings, and it had already sold on Etsy. And the other was just the brooch. And I couldn't tell how much the trio on Etsy had sold for, but the other one I found that was just the brooch, they were asking, I think, $800 and some for it. So I wanted to see, this is costume jewelry. It's not real pearls, it's not gold, it doesn't have, rubies or sapphires or gems. But Trifari, I know, is one of the higher tiers of costume jewelry. So I went and looked online, and I found multiple resources that listed all of the top selling and most valuable and highly collectible Trifari pieces. And this was not on any of the lists. Now, I've found at least two that have come up for sale, but I have a hard time pricing pieces like these because I'm not a jeweler. I'm not an expert in jewelry. I know clothing, and even then, I really have a hard time charging hundreds of dollars for an item. I don't know why. It just is how it is. It's how I feel. But I didn't know what to price this piece at. And I didn't feel comfortable trying to ask hundreds of dollars for it. I don't. And I didn't. I priced it what I thought was a fair price, and someone purchased it right away. Easy transaction. I have to preface this. This isn't like a horrible, bad story or anything. It's just a story that got me thinking. It sounds kind of disaster-y. So that brooch sold. Buyer paid for it, got all packed up. But then I started getting notifications and messages from people who saw the brooch right when I listed it and didn't get in there in enough time to buy the brooch. And so I got multiple emails asking me to cancel the original order, and they would offer me hundreds of dollars for that brooch. First off, I have to say, and this is a rule about everything I sell, not just vintage, but all of my new pieces, the only reason I would ever cancel a sale is if I found the product to not be in the condition that I originally listed it in, if by some chance it was shoplifted from the store. Those are reasons why I would cancel an order. And I know this has been an issue for buyers and sellers. I've heard this time and time again, especially if you go on local auction sites and community pages, are sellers canceling rightfully won orders and relisting them and getting a higher price. Now, to each their own. I don't want to piss on anyone's cornflakes or any other seller's cornflakes. really do believe in ethics and karma. And again, that brooch, while it may have that value to other people, I couldn't justify that value. And the buyer asked exactly what I was asking for, like paid exactly what I was asking for it, and no questions asked. And that is all I ask for. So it was an interesting conundrum because I have been fielding emails from people saying like I was quoted $1,300 for this brooch. And they were offering me all this money to cancel it, and they would buy it and purchase it right away. And the amount of times I had to tell people, no, it is what it is. And it really made me stop and think about how people come to value and price certain pieces. Now, I've had pieces in the past that were made of gold, and they had, like, I had a gold ring and it had an onyx stone in it, and so there are materials in it that you can look up the real-time value of those materials, right? And that makes it a little bit easier to assess and appraise the value of a certain piece. But with this piece, it's a piece of costume jewelry, and from all the records I could find, it isn't up there and which ones were the most collectible. And it's one of those things where I always chalk it up to this, and I've said it time and time again. If I sell something and I woefully undervalue it, if someone finds it, pays what I ask for, and they can make money off of it, it's because they have the knowledge that I didn't. And that it is what it is. So it's an interesting conundrum, and I haven't ever had that happen before, but I've seen it happen to other buyers and sellers as well. And it's interesting. It's very interesting, and all I ask is that these pieces go to a good home, and that's that. So it's going off to its new owner, first person who purchased it. It is going there, and I hope they love and enjoy it. But it really made me stop to think about pricing and prices, and I feel like in pricing in vintage, whether it be clothing, costume jewelry, it almost is like the Wild West. And I sometimes sellers ask more, and do they necessarily have the justification on why they priced it how they do? I don't know. But it brings up a really interesting question. And that's why I do like when I have people coming into the store, and I have people asking this often. And they ask, how do you price this? Like, I see this 1950s coat is this price. Why did you price this 80s coat more when they both look to be in good condition? And my prices don't come out of nowhere. I price them out of my best judgment with all of the resources and knowledge that I personally have. And that's really all you can do. Anywho, I feel like every one of these videos I have to kind of go off on a little tangent and just ask questions. But I mean, has that ever happened to any of you watching? Have you purchased something and had the seller cancel it and you saw it being relisted? Are you a seller? I mean, you don't have to put that in the comments if you don't want to, but are you a seller that has experienced this, and what was your thought process on it? And I know it's one thing if someone doesn't make the payment and it goes to the next available person or next in line. That's a totally different conversation, but just something to think about. And I've talked about this with other business owners also, and if you're a shopper of vintage and a lover of vintage and you want to question prices in an honest and you're just genuinely really curious, you should. You should always be able to ask. And we'll answer. Hello, it is Wednesday and it is, oh my gosh, almost 5 o'clock. The day has kind of gotten away from me, but I had another lovely surprise, a little last minute buying appointment. Now, if you remember a couple of vintage haul videos ago, I bought a bunch of vintage jewelry and had some 1920s pieces, 30s pieces, really gorgeous, gorgeous jewelry. And they came in again, and I'm really excited about this one. I already see pieces in here that I'm going to keep for myself. So I thought I'd give you a sneak peek, and I'm going to be doing another little mini jewelry vintage haul video because there's some pieces in here that I want to give a little bit more background on. So I'm going to point out just a few pieces and get you excited for that. All right, so here is a little sneak peek. This is an amazing novelty twin picture brooch, and I've never had one of these before, but as you can see here, you slide down this little jeweled flower and you can put a little picture in it. Now this one was put on the pad upside down. How cool is that? I love novelty jewelry. And another piece is this gorgeous, gorgeous, unusual brooch, and as luck would have it, it is another 1950s Trifari. Now it's a very unusual shape to the pearls, and it's called baby's tooth faux pearls, and it's part of, I believe it was the 1958 Sorrento collection. I found it documented in one of the ads, so I'll add it here, but as I talked about earlier, we just sold the seahorse brooch yesterday. Now this one I have found about several online, and the prices really do vary. So this one, I'm going to just give it a little polishing up, but I love how unusual the pearls are. So if you want to learn a little bit more about this piece in this collection, stay tuned for the next little jewelry vintage haul that I'll be releasing in the next couple of weeks. All right, so I'm going to spend the last hour that I'm open going through all of these, sorting them, and enjoying them, and kind of separating out which ones I want to keep. Good morning. It is Thursday. And I'm already getting ready to ship off a couple of orders. So I listed that really beautiful baby's teeth faux pearl brooch that I got in yesterday, and it sold immediately. So I'm gonna get that packed up, and I also have an order I'm packing that is going to Australia. So a little bit of a busy morning packing, and I'm gonna keep going through all of that jewelry. And I can't remember if I showed some of the coats that came in with it. Let me check, and if I didn't, let's take a little bit of a quick look at the coats I got in as well. So with the lot of jewelry yesterday, I also got a trio of really beautiful coats, and this one is from the 1950s Seeger's Fur Fashion Center in Grand Forks, North Dakota, which is about 45 minutes north of us here in Fargo. And it's beautiful Persian lamb's fur, gorgeous gray, silvery color. But just look at these buttons. I am a sucker for buttons, and it's beautiful kind of shimmery marble effect with a little rosette in the middle. But what I just noticed opening this up, look at this beautiful velvet flower on the interior. Now I'm guessing that there was a rip or some kind of damage on the interior of the coat, and this is how they chose to mend it. Really beautiful addition to it. Oh, actually it's on the other side as well. So now I'm wondering if that was purposeful. How gorgeous is that? A little bit of condition issues. The top of this pocket right here is coming up a bit. And I'm so curious because these are not functioning pockets. It's just for show. Really an interesting coat. Beautiful to boot. Then if I move over here, I have this, I believe it's early 70s. Can't find a maker's tag yet, but feels like it's this mink or fox fur. I think it might be, or no, is it rabbit fur? Actually, I think it's rabbit fur. And it has some gold hardware, leather, a little bit of wear to it, but a quintessential vintage coat. And then move over to this big one over here, and it's this kind of grayish blue suede, and it's completely lined again in this Persian lamb's wool. Let's see, so this is from the 70s, Antarex lambskin, Loch Lomond, Alexandria, Scotland. Wow, isn't that interesting? And again, it's in almost perfect condition, and this coat is heavy. Now, I almost didn't take these coats because we don't have a dry cleaner in town that specializes in the cleaning of fur. Luckily, these don't need to be cleaned. They were kept in pristine condition. The fur isn't dry or rotting at all. But I usually like to have a reference for people if they do ever want to get these coats taken care of, cleaned, maintained. I like to be able to give them a resource to get that done in town, and I don't have one yet. So it is what it is, but they gave me a really good deal on these that I couldn't pass up. So now they're here with me, and I'm going to get them ready to be put out on the floor. All right, so I'm on the hunt for a replacement piece for this brooch, and it took me a while, but there are 3 sellers that I was determined to get this from. And again, I'll show the seller in just a bit, but I found these little flat back scarab cabochon, and they're carved to be like an Egyptian scarab, which I want so badly. But now I have to decide what color. And I was going to go just with the traditional black, but I don't know, something is pulling me towards the pink. That would kind of just brighten this piece up a bit and make it a little bit more unique. I don't know, you guys. I guess we'll just have to find out which one I pick when I get them in. Now, this brooch was the one I knew would be a little bit harder, and on the site I'm getting the other piece from, I haven't found exactly what I'm looking for. Now, I'm looking for these topaz Aurora Borealis pointed back rhinestones, and these are the exact ones I'm looking for, except they are too big. They're 10 by 8 millimeters, and as you can see, this is like, what, a matter of maybe 3-4 millimeters. And also these are cabochon size and shape. So not exactly what I'm looking for. The search continues, but at least I found one of 2. Hello, it is Friday, and I've already started my day. And as you notice, I have a bunch of boxes at the counter, and I am unboxing one of my favorite things, and that's fake food. So if you've been watching my videos for a while, you may have seen these in my back archive area where I keep all of the window display pieces, and this was also part of my window displays up front. And I buy these because I love doing window scenes that are reminiscent of the windows that this building used to have back in the 40s and 50s. I'll put a photo here. I know I've posted it before, but I'll post it again. So I get fake food, fake drinks, and just do it all up. Now, because these are amazing and they are art pieces, these are all handmade, people keep buying them, which is great. I'm happy people love them as much as I do, but then I'm missing pieces from my display. So I have this this is the filled old fashioned, and I ordered a spilled one, and I had those up front on a display, and someone loved them and bought them. And I thought, well, if I have to repurchase these, I might as well get a few more things in anticipation for my holiday window display. And I will give you a look. I'm really excited. Alrighty, I got all of them unpacked. And as you can see, I got my old-fashioned, my spilled old-fashioned. Those are the two that just recently sold, and this one is bigger. I get more spillage and ice cubes, I think, than I did with the last one. Then I added onto that a Scotch on the rocks, very holiday appropriate, and I added some really cool martini glasses, and of course, a spilled martini. Now, I have an idea for these, all of these, for my holiday window display. I'm working out some of the logistics, but when I get a better idea of what I'm doing, I'll tell you. But I want to make sure I can actually accomplish it first. And here they are, back in their rightful spot up front. Now, the amount of kids that come up here and bring their parents over and go, "Mom, Dad, I'm so sorry," and the parents that freak out because they think their kids spilled something, is hilarious. I am in love with these. Good morning. It is Sunday, and I am getting ready to pack some orders, organize some things from last night. It is time that I say goodbye to this beautiful, colorful house robe. Sold on our website overnight, and I'm gonna get all nice, packed, and ready to go. I also have packed up the beautiful blue sparkly Lurex maxi dress that we got in our 80s and 90s haul not too long ago. It was one of the few 60s pieces that I got in. So I am going to start getting all of that packed up, get organized and back, and get Sunday started. Now, I also was working yesterday on getting a lot of these brooches put up and on the website. As you're seeing this, I don't believe I haven't uploaded that jewelry video yet. So you'll be seeing that soon, but it's another little sneak peek of some of the jewelry that I got recently. Like I tell you, I've been buying appointments left, right, and center. I can hardly keep up with updating them, but I showed this piece in a little bit of that preview, and it's this novelty locket brooch, and I'm still trying to find an example of it online. So the sleuthing and hunting continues. I just love seeing all the sparkles in the morning.